guys, I am here today to do my November book reviews. In the month of November, my plan was to write 50,000 words of short stories for NaNoWriMo. And so I was going to read a bunch of short stories and short story collections. And well, at least one of those things got done. I did read some short works of fiction, and I'll talk about them and completely ignore the NaNoWriMo part of the month. The first two books that I read this month I requested from NetGalley in exchange for an honest review, and that is what is going to happen. So first up, I read Imaginary by Jamie Sullivan. This cute little novella from Lesson 3 Publishing tells the tale of a lonely foster boy who befriends a boy that no one else can see. It follows the two from age 5 into their teenage years, where he falls in love with his so-called imaginary friend, and into adulthood. This took me quite a long time to get into, and despite it being such a short book, it took me more than a month to read. While the plot is solid and pretty adorable, the writing is bland and simplistic. No matter how cute the relationship or how layered the characters are, nothing is gonna make up for paragraphs that sound like this. He walked away. He didn't know what to do. He felt sad. No, he said. He took a step. But once I learned to put the writing style aside, I did get caught up in the plot, which was way more exciting than I thought it was going to be. In fact, I was kind of on the edge of my seat, which is highly unusual for this genre. It's going to sound a bit weird, but I liked how the author took other established romance tropes and shined them up a bit. And they just added those little tweaks to this story that we have already heard a bunch of times by making the characters gay, by adding more roadblocks. There isn't just a happily ever after, there's more challenges that they have to face. This was very simple, but still very cute, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is by an acquaintance of mine on Twitter, so if you are watching this, I am very sorry that I'm going to screw up the name of the title, but it'll be over here. Selume Proferre? Selume Proferre by E. Ottoman. Anyway, this is another little novella from Lesson 3 Publishing, who I am loving lately, and I'm trying to read everything that they've ever published. This is far darker and sexier and queerer and magic-ier than anything I've read from this publishing company, and I am loving it! We're thrown into this complicated world of magic and demons and spell-casting hierarchy without any explanation, and it's really fun to figure out this world. Anne Lee Johnson works part-time at her friend's LGBTQ bookstore and works as a temp at a spellcast firm. Nothing big, but she's really passionate about it. And then she's paired with MC Anderson, who happens to be a very attractive genderqueer up-and-coming exorcist. You can see where this is going. But before they do the do, there's a really interesting possession case that they have to solve with really complicated spells and rituals. With all the plot aside, can we talk about the scene where Anne asks MC about her preferred pronouns, and then they have a whole conversation about gender and sexual identity, and it's just so good. It's so good. But yes, I love the plot and the characters. I just kind of wish there was more world building, because we keep getting hints at all these really cool, unique things in this world, but I want more. And okay, yes, the writing is choppy and awkward at times, but I feel like the plot and the characters and the diversity and representation more than makes up for it. Also, what a sex scene at the end. Oh my goodness. So glad that I have a Christmas story about these two characters waiting for me on my Kindle. I can't wait to read more of Ottoman's work when they really start to find their voice. I gave it 3.8-ish stars on Goodreads, somewhere in there. And then I read Wonder Woman Volume 4, which is War by Brian Azzarello, and oh my god, I love this damn found family so much. Read this effing series, please, please, for you and for me. Just do it. Even if you think you don't like Wonder Woman, I don't know why you would think that, but the ensemble cast in this series is so great. The only bad thing I have to say about this series is that the art style gives me headaches. Like, it takes me about 2 days to read a volume because my eyes go crazy because there's so much going on, but it's still really good. It's worth it. I gave it 4.5 stars. And then I read Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. This is a graphic novel with tiny, terrifying stories with gorgeous art. And yes, I did start this in October, but it turned out to be scarier than I expected, and the only time I had to read was at night, and guess when I wasn't gonna read this? At night. So this tiny-ass graphic novel took me over a month to read because I'm a giant wuss. However, I do think it's similar, at least in art style and tone, to Over the Garden Wall, which is a TV show that I'm obsessed with right now, so I really did like that. It was really subtly beautiful. I just wish it didn't pander to the audience as much. I felt like it was like, this character is a bookworm and this bad thing happened to her and it could happen to you too, because you're reading a book. Anyway, I gave it a solid 4 stars. Then I read No One Belongs Here More Than You by Miranda July, which I'm gonna be honest, I definitely read it mostly because of the cover. This is a short story collection about sex and loneliness and living in the modern era, and it is dirty and ironic and queer and overly obnoxious. It is every indie movie you hate. It is every bad decision you've ever made. It is the feeling of wanting to die but being too lazy to do anything about it. Miranda July's style started off as unique and refreshing, but at the end, I kind of felt like I had a concussion from her hitting me over the head with her writing style. It's something that I can't put into words, but it's something so apparent in each story. I do think everyone should read something by this author, but I would read half a collection and then maybe wait a few weeks and then read the rest of it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Hannah Hart's My Drunk Kitchen, and disclaimer, I have been watching Hannah since like her second My Drunk Kitchen episode, and I love her. She was like one of the first like celebrities that I'm like, oh, I think I might not be straight. So basically she is really important to me, so this is a little bit biased, but it's also trying to be honest because she deserves that. It was fun. I could tell that the pages of text were a little hard for her to write because they felt very tedious. My favorite parts were the recipes that were only there because it was a pun. And so there was only like 20 words on a page, but it was just like perfect. I'm like, why? Why waste paper on this? It's great. I mean, she did try to be cool and fresh with her, wow, writing is really hard kind of stream of consciousness writing. However, this book was maybe only relevant for the first month it was out. It won't and really hasn't stood up to the test of time. Using cultural references, especially memes, is a huge no-no for a reason. This would have been better as a blog. Like, Hannah, why don't you have a blog? There's so much potential in either a self-help book centered around food and the kitchen, or a multimedia food pun TV reference extravaganza. Like, one or the other. Like, I don't even think her weekly videos make that many fleeting pop culture references. 3.5 stars because it was fun and it didn't really mean to be anything other than fun. And then I read Batwoman Volume 4, The Blood is Thick by J.H. Williams III. Now, I love Batwoman. That much is obvious. I love this creative team, but something about this arc felt off. The Medusa plot was so huge and great that obviously there's going to be a little bit of transition into the next big bad, and that's okay. I expect that. So this volume deals with Kate being blackmailed by the DEO because they're offering her something that she can't refuse, and they want her to find out Batman's identity. I should probably read Elegy, which was pre New 52 to kind of figure out what's going on with Kate's family and whether or not she already knows Batman's secret identity, because I'm pretty sure they're cousins. Let's just say that I wasn't invested in the plot. I was invested in the romantic subplot, of course. Kate's fiance is learning to trust her again after learning about, you know, Batwoman. They're mending their relationship while still keeping Maggie tough, because Maggie is right. Kate's in the wrong and Maggie is right, and like they're not making Maggie like beg Kate to keep her or anything. Now this was J.H. Williams and his team's last volume with DC because of the big gay marriage fiasco, which is really disappointing because this was not the goodbye I was hoping for. It wasn't huge or grand or anything. 3.5 out of 5 stars, mainly because I love the writers and they're leaving and it's sad. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am sorry if my videos will be a little sporadic in the upcoming weeks, and if some of my end of the year videos are a little late, I apologize, but I will see you next time. Goodbye! Oh yeah, your characters can get engaged, but they can't